All right, so I'm back, and let's continue our Uno card game. In the last video, we set up our main game while loop, and we made a few more functions. We made a can play function that verifies whether a user can play or not. We also made a show hand function so that it shows the player's hand. And then before that, we made a function that allows a user to draw cards. Okay. So now in this video, I was going to show you how to apply the different functionalities of the card. For instance, if it's a draw card, if a draw two or a draw four, then they should have to draw that many cards. So let's do that. Let's check in on that. So let's see. So after they've played the card, so card chosen, at this point, we we need to check what's been played, and we can do it after we've appended to discards, or we can do it before. I think let's do it after. So at this point, before we increase the player's turn, I think we need to apply the ability now, because if they played a reverse, that affects play direction. So let's do it right here. Okay. So let's check what the ability is. So we can do an if here. We may, as we go, decide, you know what, it makes more sense to put all this in a function, but let's start by putting it here. So I'm just going to make a comment here. Check for special cards. So I think I'm going to start with the reverse. Okay, so I'm going to split that card. Actually, let's just do this. And if current color is equal to wild, then we want the user to, the current player, before it's the next player's turn, we want them to pick what color they want. So if current color is equal to wild, then let's make a new variable. New color is equal to input int what color would you like to choose? And maybe before that, let's print our available colors. You know what I'm thinking? Let's make a variable colors. Let's make a list of colors, and blue, red. Actually, do we have those still from our build deck? Oh, we do, but it's inside of that function. So that means it's a local variable. We can't access it. So let's just copy and paste it there. For x in range, the length of colors, print x plus, actually I'm going to do this, that's dot format. I'm going to print the number again, same way as we did for a show hand, and then I'll print the color. dot format x plus 1 colors x. And there we go. So then they do that. Let's just make sure at this point that they actually entered in a valid number, while new color is less than 1 or new color is greater than 4, then invalid option. What color would you like to choose? Then current color is equal to colors, new color, and I'm going to do -1 so that it refers to the index of colors. So what did we do here? So they chose a new color based on what we printed. We were printing a list of all the available colors with a number in front of it. After we verified that it is a valid number that they entered, we're taking that, and let's say they entered 1, which would be red. Then I'm going to take that 1, subtract 1, so that it actually makes current color equal to the string that's in index 0 of our list. Updating current color. So that's if the current color is wild. All right. Now, here, let's also check in here, if the length of split card is equal to 1, then card value, let's call it any, else card val is equal to split card 1. Okay, what does that mean? Well, if it happens to be a wild, where it's just a wild, there's nothing after that, then we want to actually assign card val to be something, and let's make it any. Else, it is a card that has more than a single word, then I'm making card val equal to the rest of it. Now, if current color is equal to wild, then it does this. And now, let's do an else. Actually, so there we go. So if it's a wild, we're assigning it a right color. Now what's next? So now let's apply for the let's apply the reverse. Let's do that. So if, and what would reverse be? So if we look an example of reverse, here's a blue reverse. That means that card val would just be reverse. So we can just check right there. If card val is equal to reverse, then play direction is equal to play direction times -1. So that makes play direction become -1 if this is the first reverse that happened. If play direction is -1 because we've already reversed once, then that makes it equal to +1. And if play direction happens to be negative, when we're changing player turn based on play direction, adding a negative number makes it actually go down. So I think reverse is dealt with. What else is a special card? We also have a skip. Now let's see an example of a skip. Here we go. There's a blue skip. So card val would just be skip. Elif card val is equal to skip. Then what are we changing? We're changing player turn. So player turn plus equals, you know what? I'm going to just do a plus equals play direction here because we're increasing it here. So basically this increases it by 1 or decreases it by 1, and then this would increase or decrease it by another 1, skipping that player's turn effectively. All right, what else is a special one? Draw 2. So we've got draw 2, we also have draw 4. So you know what, I'm just going to do these as separate ones. There's only 2 kinds here. So let's just go here. If it equals to draw 2, let's just run that again. All right, draw 2, so that's exactly what that would be. If the card value is draw 2, then our current player, and have we changed our player turn yet? Not yet. It would be here. And if it's a skip, we're increasing player turn, but we haven't done that yet if it's a draw 2. So that means that players player turn dot extend draw cards 2. Easy. This is where having that function makes this really simple. Elif card val equals to draw 4, and we can basically copy and paste that in there to draw 4. And there we go. We've dealt with our wild, and that should work for the regular wild as well as the wild draw 4, because if it's a wild, it does this, and then it checks about the card val. And if it was just wild, card val is going to be any. Otherwise, if it was a wild draw 4, card val would still be draw 4, which means down here in a separate set of if statements, this should trigger as well, allowing that user to have to draw 4 cards. Are there any other special cards we have to look into? I don't believe so. The last thing we need to do is make it so that if card val is any, and then we want to make sure that they are able to play if they have a card that matches the color. So let's go back into the can play, and right now we're checking the color and value in there. All right. Now this would return true as long as they have a color that matches it. Right? And if the value is any, then they still need to have either a wild, which would return true if they have a wild, or they would have to have a card that matches the color. And if that was true, because this is an OR, then it should return true, even if value was any. Okay? But let's verify that that's actually the case, that we've done that logic correctly. I'm going to run it, but before I do that, I just want to get rid of that print statement of the whole deck. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go 2 players. Player 1's turn, it's a green 2. Now, it's got green reverse, which I could play, or I could play a wild. I'm going to try the reverse. Now with 2 players, what that should do is it should reduce our player turn to -1, which should then flip it back up to, what should that do? It should then bring it back up to 0. So hopefully, if I did this right, it should be player 1's turn again. But let's try this. I play it. No, it didn't work. Now it says player 2's hand. Okay. So there's something not quite right there. Let's check that to see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a breakpoint here. And I'm going to put a breakpoint there as well, and there. Okay. So let's do that again. 2 players. There's your hand. There's a red skip, and it says I can't play. You have to draw a card. And that's right. I don't have a red, so that's good. Let's move forward. It's a red skip. Why is it still red player's turn, though? That doesn't make sense. It should have moved forward. So let's see what's going on. I think there's something wrong with how I'm increasing the player's turn. So play direction is 1. Now player turn is 1, which means it should have it didn't increase their turn. So let's just double check. If you can't play, we added a card. We check for special cards. And what was that? It was a red skip. Oh, because it applied the skip. That's a problem. So I think this is a problem, because what if it's a skip and nobody can play, but it's just sitting there right now because of where we've got it. It's going to continue to skip players' turns every turn. So I think what we need to be doing is we need to be checking for special cards, not here, but inside this if statement. So that it only applies the moment that they've played the card. So they've appended it to discards. Now I'm checking for special cards and doing all of this. So that way it doesn't do the skip if it's only the first player's turn, and it doesn't do the skip every single time that there happens to be a skip or a draw card sitting on the discard pile. Let's try doing that again. So here we go. There's a blue 5. They can play, and this is player 1's turn. So I'm going to play the blue 3. There we go. So now it's player 2's turn. That's good. So they're going to play a blue 2. Okay. Blue 2. Now they can play a blue 4. And now it's player 2's turn. Now how does this work? It shouldn't allow them to even choose a card. And this was working before. I've broken something with the can play, haven't I? Oh, is there a... I don't have a 4 and I don't have a blue. So that doesn't make sense. So there is something with can play that's not quite right. Let's pause it. So at this point, let's just refresh it and let's put in a breakpoint and try again. We've got a green 8. That's fine. I should be able to do that. All right, there's a blue skip. It's player 1's turn. So let's play a let's play a blue 2. So now let's just make sure that this is working. So the card val is skip. Current color should be blue. And player direction is 1. Player turn is now 1. Now it says player 3's turn. That's not right. So somehow it's not actually working to change my current card. Now why is that? Because I played a blue 2. Which means at that point it should have changed current color. Of course. This is my problem. I was grabbing index 0, which isn't changing. So I don't want split card to be discards 0. I want it to be -1, the last card that was added to my discards deck. That's more like it. That makes a lot more sense why that was causing an error there. So let's try that again. So we've got a blue 0, which is good. They should be able to play a blue 8. Okay. Now it's player 2's turn. Which card do you want to play? They should be able to play blue 6. Good. Now it's player 1's turn. Now let's try the wild draw 4. Okay. They played the wild draw 4. What color do you want to choose? Perfect. Let's pick green. So I'm going to put a 2 for green. There we go. Now it's player 2's turn. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. They have, and it's a wild draw 4. We should also be printing what the current color and value is. But, so let's see if we can play a green 2. You played a green 2. Yeah, that worked. player one's hand. Oh, right. So player one was the one that played the wild draw 4, but he's also the one that drew 4 cards. So that's a problem. And maybe you've been seeing this and thinking the same thing, but that is a problem. So let's go into the draw 2 and the draw 4. And basically what we want to do is we're going to I'm going to make a variable here, player draw equal to player turn plus play direction. And then I'm going to have it check if player draw is equal to the number of players, flip it back to 0. If player draw is less than 0, player draw is equal to number of players minus 1. That way, I'm using this as just a temporary way to check who's supposed to draw the cards. Right? And then there we go. And then I'll just do the same thing. Now it's starting to look like I may want to put this into a function. But I think this should be okay. All right. Let's try that once more and see if the draw cards happens to work. I'm going to go 3 players just so we can also see if reverse and skip work. All right. So we've got a green 6. Yeah, it says they can't play, which is right. So now player 3's turn. There's a green 6. Let's see if the skip works. So if they skip, it shouldn't be player 1's turn. It should be player 2's turn. Let's see. So they chose a skip. So I'm increasing. Let's just step into it. So now player turn is 4, which means it should. Well, we just skipped over number of players, didn't we? So this should be greater than or equal to number of players. Yeah. So there's a problem there. So there's a blue skip on top. I played a 1. Normal. What do they play? Let's play a 1. What do they play? Sure. Now player 1's turn, they can play a blue 2. It's a blue 9. Now let's try that wild draw 4 again. They played a wild draw 4 and then they're gonna make it yellow. All right. So now let's step into it. So it was a draw 4. Player turn is 2, which means it should be player 3's turn, unless I did 2 players. There we go. So it's player 3's turn, and let's see how many cards they have. Yeah, they added 4 cards. Beautiful. Now We made it yellow. So he shouldn't be able to play. Oh no, he's got a yellow skip. Let's see if skip works. You played a yellow skip. So let's step through that. So now it's player one's turn. That's not right though, because it should have been player two's turn because he should have skipped player one. And I think I know what the problem was. In the skip, it's not enough just to increase it. We need to have this same condition in there. There we go. There we go. I think that should do it. So there's a green 6. He can't play. Why is this even still letting me go? This doesn't make sense. Oh, I can play. I've got a blue 6. That's right. Now they can't play, so that's normal. Now it's a blue 6. He can play a blue draw 2. Let's try that. So the next player has to pick up 2 cards. That's right. So it's a blue draw 2 on the top. So they should be able to play a blue 8. And now it's a blue 8, which means he should be able to play a red 8. So let's do that. Beautiful. And now he should be able to play a wild. And he's going to make it yellow. Now it's yellow. But again, we should be showing the color, shouldn't we? Let's try the yellow skip. So it's player 2's turn, which means it should skip player 3, and it should now be player 1's turn. And it did. Awesome. So that's working now. And if we did draw 2, then that means that player 3 should have to pick up 2 cards. And there we go. Let's try the reverse. We haven't tried the reverse yet. So that means after player 3, if he plays reverse, we should be down to player 2 again. And we are. Beautiful. We reverse it back. It should be player 3's turn. And it is. He plays a reverse. It's player 2's turn. And he plays a 1. And he can't play a card. This guy can play a card. It looks like we've figured out a lot of these. Oh, and he can play the yellow 4. Awesome. Now, this is the last thing where player 2 played his last card. He should have been able to win. Right? And so this is where we need that while loop, where we should be able to check. After we do that, after he plays a card, he's played a card, this is where we check if he's won. If the length of player's player turn, if that list is less than 1, well, we could even be able to, we should be able to put in if it's equal to 0, then playing equals false, winner equals player dot format player turn plus 1. There we go. Else, and let's just do all of this because there's no point in us doing all of this if they've just won the game. So let's check for special cards only if they didn't actually win. So if that's true, it does this. It actually doesn't matter whose turn it is there. And then we can say game over, print winner. Winner is the winner. Dot format, and there we go. And that should be our final game. I'd probably go through and do a bit more commenting before I finish this off. And you know, many of you watching, especially those that are into object-oriented programming, would probably look at this and go, this could be made a lot simpler if I made this object-oriented. But that wasn't the exercise for this. This was an attempt to make it procedurally, and I believe I've accounted for most things. Of course, the next step would be to have a bunch of people play test this game, look for bugs, look for ways we could improve it. But thanks for going along with me. Hopefully you've learned a bunch from this video, and you can use it to apply it to your war card game and how you'd make maybe even other kinds of card games. Feel free to put in any questions or clarifications in the comments. Thanks. Bye.